What's up everybody, hope you all are doing well. Wanted to showcase some of the latest HO scale workings on my FEC roster. So at the Real Sarasota Bradenton show that happened back in 2022, I got lucky and found some SD40-2 Blue Box kits at a pretty reasonable price. So I found one that happened to have a snoot nose and one that happened to have the standard, I believe it's an 88-inch nose. Now for the snoot, it was a no-brainer what it would turn into. Very few railroads still maintain snoot nose SD40s, and of course the most iconic one that is near and dear to home is the Florida East Coast Railway. So a locomotive would be done using the snoot nose in the champion paint. I would pick between 715, 716, and 720, ultimately ending up with 716. And for the 88-inch, it was a little more contentious, but since it had a wheel brake nose, the decision was made to go with FEC 714. It had all the specs that were needed, and that was the perfect fit. And that says a lot. It's like sometimes things just drop into place perfectly in the hobby. So as mentioned earlier, these are built out Athearn kits. So I want to go into the specifics about what I did to each locomotive to try to reflect road number specific detail as best as I could. For 716, aside from the snoot nose, there are not that many features that are unique in particular to the engine. However, there were some unique challenges presented by using the decal sheet. The microscale decal sheet allows a pretty easy representation of the FEC champion paint. But of course, you have to pair it with Solvaset to produce effective results. One of those comes in the snoot nose itself. Once you drop the Solvaset, of course the decal film starts to deteriorate, so I managed to kind of crinkle it in and form the curve, allowing it to set pretty nicely. And of course you have the decal on the decal dilemma, so I was pretty effective with that. And I had some issues with some numerical decals, so it might be a little easier to tell when it's zoomed in, but thankfully hard to tell when not zoomed in. That 7 is a little bit tweaked. Now we go in and we see how the Solvaset has allowed the film to nicely cure in to the cracks and crevices of the SD40's body. And it's a little amateurish, but I had to use Road Geek font numbers for the road numbers, since the correct font for the FEC SD40 number boards is very hard to come by. 716, like most SD40s, has a Leslie S3 horn, and it has the default SD40-2 plow and an anti-climber. The other side is pretty identical to the fireman side, and I applied almost the same detail, such as painting darker the radiator vents, all the fans, and all the little soot hanging out on the top of the roof of the long hood. Now 714 is far and wide more unique than 716. It is actually the first champion painted locomotive that FEC got, and it was done, I believe, in-house in 2011. So it appears that maybe there was a coat missing, that the yellow for the champion did fade. So this was a custom paint job using true color FEC yellow mixed in with white to represent the fade. But interestingly, in 2020, something happened that the nose had to be retouched. So they redid the nose, and I represented that using the microscale decal, but they did not put any of the insignia back on the nose, so I left it blank. As an era testament, since I had a set of Grupo Mexico stickers lying around, I applied it to the front of 714, since it is the most up-to-date of the locomotives. Just like 716, 714 comes with the Dometic AC units, and I'm in the process of adding the PTC antennas. The only thing missing is the music wire that will curl around the roof of the cab. And since 714 retains the older paint, also the roof has faded much more significantly than the others. And in order to compensate, since I used paint and not the decal, the silver striping used 1/64 inch microscale silver stripe decal. Unfortunately, I will note that the yellow stripe here is a little wider than I hoped, but it's okay. I think the effort is there and it looks not too bad anyhow. And of course, doing the two SD40s inspired me to look back to the Gevos, and 820 received an updated set of weathering with the trucks weathered using airbrushed brown paint, and some Winsor & Newton oil paint representing the red fade on the top, as well as the suit coming off the exhaust stack. There was also a light application of a very dilute white oil paint to attempt to represent the fade off the side of the long hood. And I think it came out pretty effectively. It's very hard to tell, but I think there are hints of it visible throughout. You might remember the tutorial posted back in July of 2023 showing how to add Loksound V5 and some speaker arrangement, either Bowser, ESU, etc., to an Athearn Blue Box locomotive, since the process is a little different when you use a decoder buddy. These are the two engines that received it, of course. So they have Loksound V, they have an appropriate speaker in there, a dual sugar cube of some flavor, either Bowser or ESU. They sound pretty good. We will hear them in a bit. And they of course have LED headlights and ditch lights and number boards lit throughout. And of course the audio-visual upgrades were so contagious that the ES44C4 had to receive Loksound V and the new GEVO sound file that ESU released not too long ago. You will also hear that momentarily on the layout today. So let's run these guys on the layout for a little bit, shall we? So one side note, one tweak you will probably have to make when programming these units on the Loc programmer is that you should turn off consist functioning for the headlight. I didn't do that initially, so if you watch my short that I posted a few days ago, you will see that both of the headlights are on, but in this case I was able to isolate the headlight. But I kept the F8 as a consist because of course if these engines are MU'd, that's what's going to happen. So we're here at Quality Container on the Commerce Park layout, which was just scenic recently. Nice little summer project in the blaring Florida heat. And we're going to pull a cut of intermodal wall cars out of there. Hopefully this goes off without a hitch. Layout probably needs some maintenance, but we'll try our best to make it happen. And that is a little sample of what's to come with these newly upgraded engines. Of course, some of these, if you look really carefully, are missing a few detail parts. 714 still needs its horn, it's on its way in the mail. PTC antennas for 716 and 820, and a few other minor additions. But these are almost, as I would say, road ready, and we will be ready for the road with these very soon. I'd like to thank you for joining me on this little excursion, and if you haven't, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you think about these units, what you would like to see me do in the future, and we will go from there. From HQ, Commerce Park Layout, this is TE